I'm going to go to the prep rooms and invite the teams back first, and I will start. Or they're not. everyone see my screen firstly?
Yes.
All right, so before we start, we will do an audio check. So we will start with the Prime Minister, followed by the Leader of Opposition, Deputy Prime Minister, Deputy Leader of Opposition, Government Whip, and Opposition Whip. Just introduce yourselves, your name and your speaker, which speaker you are, and if you are giving the reply speech, please identify yourself as well. We'll start with the Prime Minister. Deputy Prime Minister, Deputy Leader of Opposition, Government Whip, and Opposition Whip. Just introduce yourselves, your name and your speaker.
Hello, I'm Alira Fana. I'm Prime Minister of the government.
Identify yourself as well. We'll start with the Prime Minister. Prime Minister, Deputy Leader of Opposition, Government Whip, and Opposition Whip. Can I call the Leader of Opposition?
Hello.
Okay, hi, I'm Niranjana. I will be the leader of the opposition.
Identify yourself as well. We'll start with the Deputy Prime Minister.
Hi, I'm Shaywan and I'm the Deputy Prime Minister.
Can I call the Leader of Opposition? The
Okay,
Deputy
hi,
Leader
I'm
of
Niranjana.
Opposition.
I will be the leader of the opposition.
Hi, I'm Iza and I will be the Deputy
The Deputy Prime Minister. Government Whip.
Hi, I'm Shaywan and I'm the
Hi,
Deputy
I'm
Prime
Arya
Minister.
Najiha. I am the
Can I
government
call
whip.
the Leader of Opposition? And the Opposition
Okay,
Whip.
hi,
Leader
I'm
of
Niranjana.
Opposition.
I will be the leader
I
of
am
the
Fifna Mimi
opposition.
to be the government.
Hi, I'm Iza and
Opposition.
All
I
right.
will be the Deputy
Thank you. Who will be giving the
opposition.
reply speech for the government? Government Whip.
Hi, I'm Shaywan and I'm the
Hi,
Deputy
I'm
Prime
Arya
Minister.
Najiha.
I
I
will.
am the
Prime
government
Minister
whip.
will
Leader
give
of
the
Opposition
message for the
and the Opposition Whip.
Okay,
All right.
hi,
Thank
I'm
you.
Niranjana.
And for the Opposition.
I, as the leader of the opposition, will be
Thank
giving
you.
the reply
Who will be
speech.
giving the All right. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Shaywan and I'm the
Hi,
Deputy
I'm
Prime
Arya
Minister.
Najiha.
I
I am
will.
the
Prime
government
Minister
whip.
will give the message for the
And the Opposition. And for the Opposition.
I, as the leader of the opposition, will
Can
be
I just check,
giving the
is
reply
our
speech.
judge here, Umi Marshita? Umi Marshita?
If the judges is not there yet, it's okay. Make sure that the both teams yang need to be present. Okay.
Are we allowed to start the debate?
Is there Edge inside there?
They're all here.
Huh?
They're all here.
Yeah. Start.
So we can start.
Yeah, you can start your speech. Your.
Okay.
All right.
Am I the only one or like the edge dia take control of the room? Dia jadi speaker. So bagi je lah kan?
Come again. Yang and
Hi, everyone. We're just waiting for our
sort of like
educator
took
to
control
enter
of
the room
so
before we
like
start the
he
debate. Yeah.
sort of became the speaker. So macam kita bagi je lah kan?
oh yeah, can. If the Edge decide to be the chair or etc. can.
Okay, great.
Oh, but remember as usher take note their
again.
position and dia orang punya time. Yang okay.
Hi, everyone. We're just waiting
Alright.
for our
Sort of like
educator
took
to
control
enter
of
the room
so
before we
like
start the
he
debate. Yeah.
sort of became the speaker. So macam kita bagi je lah kan?
Oh yeah, can. If the Edge and dia orang punya time.
Imran, my
Okay.
room lambat sikit start sebab this one thing, this team dia salah prep motion.
Sort of became the speaker. So macam kita bagi je lah kan?
Baik
Lol. Okay.
Aku bagi tahu motion. my room lambat sikit start sebab
You dah repeat You dah maksudnya.
Dah repeat dah.
Oh, alright.
But dia cakap kasi like 5 minutes only. So
Can we start?
aku bagi tahu. My room lambat sikit start sebab
You dah repeat You dah maksudnya.
Okay, hi everyone. So sorry that I'm late. The ushers had not moved me to my room just now. Before that, can everybody introduce me who is speaking first, who is Gov, and what motion we're doing? Sorry that I'm late. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, okay. So I will let you know what motion this room will be debating.
Sorry. Before that, can you repeat? Sorry, I accidentally muted my computer.
Am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're audible. Can everyone hear me?
All right. I am the speaker. Today, this room will be debating on the first motion. This house would ban the publication of articles relating to the personal lives of extremists or terrorists.
Okay.
And I will hand over to the debaters to introduce themselves again.
All right.
Starting with the Prime Minister and following the order we did just now. Can I invite the Prime Minister to introduce herself to our adjudicator?
Right, okay. Noted everyone. Kalau for example your judge dah startkan the chair, it's okay. Let them be the chair. You guys make sure you take note the time and their position and the result later. All right.
Okay. So for the first speaker, who's speaking first for Gov?
I will speak as a first speaker. I'm Adela Farna, the Prime Minister.
Okay. Who's speaking second?
Me, my name is Syedwan.
Okay. And and reply? Speaker who's speaking first for Gov?
I will speak as a first.
Who's speaking
I'm
second?
the whip for the government. Me, my name is Syedwan.
Najiha. Okay. And who's going to reply? Aliana or Syedwan?
I will. We will reply speech.
Who is that? Sorry, my computer is a bit lagging at the moment. Alia will go reply. Okay.
Yes, Alia.
All right. So for op, who's going first?
I'm Diana. I will go first with the leader of the opposition.
Okay. Second?
I'm Isa. I will be the deputy of leader of opposition.
Okay. Third?
I'm Afif. I will be the opposition whip.
Okay. And reply?
Reply will be Diana, me.
Okay. So on the motion of banning publication, the first motion, I would like to invite the prime ministers to start their speech here.
Reply will be Diana, me.
Final.
So on
Terrorism or extremism is a parasite in the community, but as violent as it is, they are still human. But before that, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good evening to its honorable panel of judges, the precise timekeepers, amazing opponent on the side of opposition, and the comrade on the side of government, and not to forget people of the floor. Okay, so today I will do two things in today's speech. Firstly, I will give you a completely set up, and I will give my argumentation on why this house would ban the publication of article relating the personal life of extremists and or terrorists. My deputy will refit misguided point from their side, and my will construct the anatomy of the text. First definition is ban the publication. Here can be illustrated as public the identity of personal life of the terrorists or extremists on social media, news, newspaper or blog. Second definition is extremist and terrorist, a person who uses unlawful violence. And I want to highlight this debate this debate isn't about ban the publication but not supporting the terrorist violence. So status quo, how does status quo look like? First, I would like to say that what can we see? Right now, media is exposing the personal life of terrorists, and obviously the issue will become more bigger. As we can see, the example of American terrorists who killed two Asian women because of they are Asian, and the case should be settled by that, and let the punishment and let the punishment and let the authority give the punishment to the terrorists. But because of the publication of the terrorists and but because of the publication about the terrorists, netizens create a fuss and making the issue more bigger. So I'm going to move on to my first point first. Publicating the articles relating the personal life of extremists and terrorists will give more concern parts. Why I say that is because of the publication, things goes viral. As we can know, this 21st making the issue more bigger. Social media, newspaper, news, things can go viral so easily and very fast. So netizens publicating the articles will easily get into the topic and bashing the terrorists. And this not only give an effect to the authority to settle the case, but give an effect about the terrorist life also. As when the personal life of the terrorists become public, every people around them will get banished too. We get the effect in the future of the family, of the friends, because they are related, even though they are not creating the fights, even though they're not creating the violence, but they still get affected because of the things got viral and the public, and because the personal life of the terrorists got public. So that is why we need to keep things about terrorists private and not the public. And second, my point is human rights. As we know, even though they are terrorists or extremists, even though they make violence, they are still human. Human make mistake. Even though what mistake it is, it's still mistake and still human. Even we are still human.
Points of
I'm sorry?
information. Points of information.
No, thank you.
Uh,
No, thank you. Okay, so let's get back to the human right. Terrorists, even though he or she is terrorist, they are still a human. To make human make mistake, even though what mistake it is, they are still human and they make mistake. Every human make mistake. I want to highlight that because human sometimes can having some issue and they make mistake. I agree. The mistake is still a mistake. The violence is the thing that had been done, already been done. But as human, he needs a privacy. He need a privacy. He can't just be public like that. Just because of he need such a big violence. And because of the publication of the identity of terrorists, the netizen who knew things will bash them overly, and because of that, people, even though he made mistake, he still can be judged like that. As we can see, as the nearest example, every time something happens, netizen bashing him or her over the limit. Even though, yes, I agree they are making a mistake, but we have no right to bashing them like that. So where is the right of him until he get bashed like that? So in a nutshell, what I want to put here is as soon as publicating the extremist identity, it will create awareness, but netizen, but let the authorities settle the case and not involve the others. So, and the other my deputy will explain. So that's my speech. Thank you.
Thank you. Calling upon the next speaker.
Okay. Assalamualaikum and a very good evening. I bid to the respectable adjudicator, my fellow teammates, as well as the government side. Because for tonight, I'm going to convince you that that we shouldn't ban the publication of articles relating to the personal lives of extremists or terrorists. But first, I'm going to do two things tonight. Firstly, I'm going to rebut on the case that has been brought up by the side of the Prime Minister of the government side. And secondly, I'm going to provide the arguments from the side of opposition, which is us. Okay, so first of all, moving on to my rebuttal. So first of all, we have identified that the government side, they don't provide us a mechanism in order for us to ensure how would you ban the publication of articles, because this is an important element in our debate, in order to make us have a clear view regarding it. So that is what lacks in your case setup. Okay, so as the government side has stated, the publication will make the issue will be bigger, and they will get affected. Yes, because of the netizen, the issue will be bigger. I admit that, but I am quite confused. Like, which side are you on? Because you seem to support the motion of us. Like, you stated like the benefits, like the benefits of not banning the publication of articles, like they are affected, and where is regarding where is the human right, which is the second point. Like, human make mistake, but considering the terrorism act that they have done, lots of lives has been killed by them. For instance, we have the ISIS movement, which is one of the terrorist act, and what has they done is that they conducted genocide, ethnic cleansing, etc. Like, how would you justify? Like, there are lots more lives that they have been taking all this while, and what is and how and where is the rights of those victims? Like, for instance, we have the ISIS group. They have launched more than 100 attacks in the northeastern Syria in 2021, in order for them to terrorize lots of towns and villagers at night. So where is the victim's right as a human? You only consider regarding the rights of the terrorists itself, but where is the rights of the people which has been killed? Okay, so enough of my rebuttal. I will be moving on to my first point, which is we should ban the publication of articles relating to their personal lives, because first of all, I will be speaking regarding the how do we view this in the perspective of our society. So first of all, my first point is that the society by not by publicating their articles, the society can be more aware of the extremists and the terrorism act that they have done. Like, for instance, the media itself, they are accessible to the public. Like, they can be the magazines, the news, journals, ebooks, etc. So the public can access to these better, and this will make it feasible for them in order to know more about the extremists, and they will gain more knowledge and info regarding it. So the info will be implemented inside of their life. Like, they can read about the story of how the extremists or terrorists become one of those terrorist groups inside of the world. And for instance, and we also can prevent the community from joining them, like, because we can know what makes they join. Is it because of such of like of the of one of the parties that makes them join, so that we can stay aware regarding it. So knowing and learning from their experience, from their personal life's experience, will teach the society to not repeat or do the same mistake as the terrorists have done, which they all can be kept in the by the police. And this will also honor and respect the death of the victims, just like I've stated inside of my rebuttal just now, the victims of the genocidal acts and the ethnic cleansing acts. Like, we can respect the death of them. And in comparison to if we don't ban the publication of articles, which should be the government side, we have identified that by exposing their personal lives, this will make the personal info to the public accessible by them, for instance, like the netizens, and this will violate their rights because they are known by the public. The personal lives are known by the public, and this will make them discriminated from the society. So how will they live after this, and how would you handle this if their articles regarding them are being published, and how will they be treated in the society after that? So before I raise my case, I would like to emphasize the stance of the government side, of the opposition side, which is we shouldn't ban the publication of articles relating to the personal lives of extremists and terrorists, because the outcomes outweighs the beneficial outcomes, outweighs what has been stated by because the outcomes outweighs because the outcomes outweigh the publication of the articles relating to them itself. With that, I raise my case.
All right, thank you. Can I invite the next speaker, please?
You can explain the next
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, I'm starting. So, can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible.
The thing about the past is that it's something that we should all learn from, not something to dwell on. By banning the publication of articles relating to the personal lives of extremists, we can create a better world that both acknowledges the past, hence crimes committed by these terrorists, and also moving forward by keeping their personal infos to themselves. So, before we get into that, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good evening to everyone present. So here is how I'm going to structure my speech. First of all, I'm going to give rebuttals to the leader of opposition. And second of all, I'm going to give my own arguments on why we should ban the publication. Because the first thing, onto my rebuttal, the first thing that I heard was that the last thing that I heard was the beneficials outweigh the cons when it comes to not banning them, right? Okay, so the first thing is, I think you didn't listen when my Prime Minister clearly stated the mechanism of how banning this publication. She clearly stated that the publication mentioned is through both newspapers and social media. So what is it that you do not understand? It means not spreading this personal information through this media. Moving on. What you said about the loss of lives that have been killed and their rights, right? So how will knowing the personal lives, the personal side of these terrorists, bring justice to the people that was being wronged? Is it justice really, or are you really seeking revenge from it? Why? Why do I say this? Because by spreading this publication of articles relating personal lives, you are not only disrupting their path to a betterment, but you are also destroying the lives around them. Hence, because my Prime Minister clearly stated that personal lives, meaning someone's personal relationship, interests, and activities from their differentiate from their public and personal lives. So when you share this information, you do not really get anything from it. Because why? You're stating that when we ban this publication of articles regarding personal lives, you're stating as if we do not, these terrorists are not being punished. These terrorists are not being held accounted for their doings. Other than that, you also said that to make awareness so that people.
POI.
No, thank you. So that people would it limits their exposure. They're not knowing of what's going on around them, right? So what you're getting wrong, what you're getting absolutely messed up is that the news about the happening itself, the news about the terrorism, the act of terrorism is being shared with the public. What is being confidential is their backgrounds, their public lives, their relationships. Because when we think about it, using logic, it will bring more negative effects than the positive effects. When people have, onto my arguments, when people have access to their personal lives, they will, the media, the people, the community will make assumptions. They will make assumptions such as, what if I say this is what if I say that if one person his hobby is playing football, right? There is nothing that is his personal lives. So when suddenly are you going to say that if people like football, they are terrorists? No, right? So moving on to my next argument, it is a fuel and a tool for further worsening today's state of the world. If this goes on, well, so the world is already filled with prejudice and racism and such. So if the community gets their hands on the personal lives, on the background of these terrorists, whether or not they are actually valid, they will become more prejudiced towards the people with the same sort of interest, with the same sort of community and activities. And that will surely lead to more hatred, thus a world that cannot heal. Going to from the perspective of the extremists itself, he or she will forever be an outcast. And this will lead to either them committing more crimes because of the media, because of the people condemning them for the action that they have done and must have repented. They have repented and you still insist on stabbing on their wounds. So how can they heal? Instead of
POI.
go on.
So how about the prisoners who have committed crimes? They also as seen by community as bad people. So how do you justify the criminals and the prisoners who are also?
I couldn't understand actually. So what I'm saying is the personal lives will be kept confidential, right? And the news itself will be made public. So I don't see really what's the problem. So in conclusion, what I said, the benefits of banning the publication of articles relating to the personal lives outweighs if we decide to keep on publicating their personal lives. That's all. Thank you.
All right, calling the next speaker.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And very good evening. I bid to the educators, members to the opposite teams and my fellow teammates and also members of the floor. So I, as the deputy of leader of opposition, will give my rebuttals and also my arguments. Moving on with my first rebuttal. So the Prime Minister has stated that the terrorists they also need a human right and they also need privacy. And he also stated that humans make mistakes, and you keep on repeating the same words, which is human make mistakes. But
depend boleh je kalau Ash say that then okay je. Because like okay, actually tak ada pun, memang tak ada. I initiate that at least at the time.
Sorry, is somebody talking? Because there's a speaker speaking right now.
But I would like to emphasize that terrorists, they are on another level. They commit crime, they kill people. Not only that, for example, ISIS, they commit genocide, they commit ethnic cleansing or war crimes. So how are we supposed to forgive them? Because the mistake is very big. They commit crime. Yes, we can forgive them, but well, where is the human right for the family that they experiencing the genocide or they experiencing the ethnic cleansing? So where is justice for them? So if we don't publish about them on articles, so how can people know about what have they done, what have the terrorists done, what have they commit? Then what? And at the very least, we should spread an article about them, for example, like about the terrorists and also about the extremists, about what have they've done. Moving on to my second rebuttal. The Deputy Prime Minister, she gave a weird example, which is a boy playing football, and he compared it with a terrorist. That is very not acceptable. And he also stated that if we spread the personal lives of terrorists or extremists on the article, then people will condemn them and they might eventually will commit more terrorism. But how can it be? Because when people already know about that, of course, they will do something to stop the terrorism and also the extremists. Because because a terrorist will always be a terrorist, so we must find a way how to stop the terrorism and the extremists from conquering the world. So that's it for my rebuttal. I will be moving on with my arguments. So My first argument is about the benefit of when we spread the articles about personal life of extremists or terrorists. So the first one is for the youth in general. For example, in education, if we don't spread about the terrorists, then how can they know about it? And don't you think that they might become a terrorist one day if they don't know about the personal life or about the background of the terrorists, how the terrorists become a terrorist or how the extremist becomes one? So it is very important in education. For example, like the objective of ISIS, they want to spread their ideology, they want to conquer land, and they want to spread their religious belief. So if we spread the articles relating to the personal life of extremists or terrorists, then the youth, which is our future generation, of course, they will protect their land and they will do their best not to follow the ideology that has been spread or wrong ideology that has been spread. And the next is, I would like to emphasize here that even if we ban the publication of articles relating to the personal lives of extremists or terrorists, it will not solve the problem. Why? Because in this era, 21st century, in the internet age, we can always access what we want from the internet, from the social media, for example, like from the Instagram, from the Twitter, from the webs, or etc. So of course, just banning articles about it won't solve the problem. And my second point will be the impact if we don't spread the publication of articles relating to the personal life of extremists or terrorists is it will impact the economy. And why I say that? Because terrorism, first, it will impact the direct economic destruction. And the most immediate and measurable impact of terrorism is the physical destruction. And for example, they destroy existing plants, machines, or transportation systems and economic sources. But on a smaller scale, the acts of terrorism, they blow up like church and roads. So, but on the large scale, they attack people. Like for example, I said just now, they commit genocide, ethnic cleansing, and the most famous one is the World Trade Center bombing on 2001, which destroyed billions of dollars worth of property. And not only that, it also kills thousands of people. So the impact of terrorism and war they're always negative. So if we stop spreading the articles relating to their to these extremists or terrorists, then how can the society know what have they done to the world? They have committed too many crimes on this world. So if we stop spreading about it, then eventually they might conquer the world with which they might commit more terrorism and become extremists. So before I end my speech, I would like to reaffirm our group stance, which is the beneficial of not publication outcomes, the outcome. So I would like to reaffirm my group stance, which is the beneficial of not publication outcomes outweigh the outcomes of publications. So with that, I rest my case.
Thank you. I invite the next speaker.
Yeah, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good evening and night to everyone. So I will be doing two things today, which is I will be rebutting the argument the deputy leader of opposition said, and I will be strengthening the government's points. Okay. So First of all, the deputy leader of opposition said that the same point that the leader of opposition said, which is by not banning the publication of articles relating to the personal lives of extremists or terrorists, the human rights of the families of the deceased who are affected by the terrorists will be justified. They will get justice. But they feel, hey, how will it give justice to them? Because how will exposing their the personal lives of the terrorists that have been punished of their crimes give justice to the family of the deceased? They fail to explain that. And my second rebuttal is that they also keep repeating about how society can be more aware of the terrorist crimes, but they also forget that we are not preventing the publication of terrorism or extremism. We are banning the publication of their personal lives, not the acts of terrorism itself or extremism itself. They fail to understand what we are trying to say. And they also said that it can impact the economy, but I don't really see how it will impact the economy, because terrorist acts, based on what they said, terrorist acts make buildings fall and damage and stuff. But they also fail to explain how by letting the publication of articles related to personal lives can impact the economy. They fail to explain their mechanism on their own point, because we are talking about their personal lives. We are preventing them from their personal lives, not their actions itself. We are not defending them in any way, but we are only protecting their human rights, as my prime minister has said. And they also said that society doesn't know the crimes of terrorists. It just adds to my rebuttal of their misunderstanding and of their misunderstanding on the motion itself, because we are disclosing their personal lives, not their crimes. And they also said that, and I would like to strengthen my prime minister and deputy prime minister's points. So we have to remember that the definition of personal lives is their personal life, the people around them, their childhood, their background, not their crimes. We are not preventing the society, the whole world, to disclose their crimes. We are addressing their crimes. We are addressing their wrongs. But what we are against is exposing their personal lives and the people around them to the society, because it can affect them in so many ways. Because the people, as my prime minister and leader deputy prime minister has said, the people around them can be affected, their friends, their family, and it will also create so much more prejudice in the society that we have right now, because just because of an act that they have done, an act of terrorism that they have done, the innocent people around them are also affected just because of that one thing. And I believe that is unfair to them. That is unfair to the people around them, because they have done nothing wrong, but they are still affected by the crimes of someone they know. And they also and I would also like to rebut again what the opposition side has said. They said that it is important in education. it is important in education because they will know why they become terrorists and why and how did they become terrorists, if I'm not mistaken. But I would like to ask you again, how will it prevent the future society from becoming terrorists? How will it ensure that there will be no terrorists in the future? And you said that, and you also said that will always be a terrorist. That is not true. Do you not believe that humans can change? We can evolve. We can change our views. We can change our opinions. We can change our beliefs. Do you not agree that a terrorist can change to become a better person? Do you not agree that the power of change and the power of second chances? And with that, I would like to conclude my speech for today and for tonight. And I would also like to stress that we are not defending them. We are only disclosing their personal information because it is their own rights, and it will only harm the people around them more, and it will not give any benefits for the society to know their personal information. And with that, I raise my case.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Society and community needs to grow to ensure the improvement as a human race. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I bid to all of the people at the evening. So, I will be doing two things today. I will be rebutting all of the flaws and the loopholes have been stated by the government side, and also be comparing why we should not ban personal rights of these terrorists. So, first of all, we can see as we go through this debate, the government side has been looping throughout what about the personal life of terrorists, why they should not giving out their personal information because they can be discriminated by the society. They always keep saying the same thing to us, the first speaker, the second speaker, and also a third speaker. So first of all, I will come to the rebuttal from the first speaker. The first speaker has told you that they have their personal rights. And when we expressing the personal information about the terrorists itself, about how their lives, about it will make the community will make more hatred towards the community, towards them. But let me tell you this, how about the criminals or the prisoners that are in prison? They also commit crimes, and they also they are also wait, no. So the criminals and the prisoners are also seen as from the community as a disgrace because they have committed crime. They have loaned the improvement of the society itself. So also, we have seen a lot about the judgment of the humans about the criminals. So why we should defending the personal life, personal rights about the terrorists itself, about their family, if they themselves actually raise the terrorists itself. So next, the second point from the loopholes from the first speaker, the Prime Minister, she told you that terrorists are also humans and they always make mistakes. How can you justify that the word mistakes is about killing, is about threatening the lives of innocent people, of a lot of people? There are extremists like ISIS, like Daesh, for example. There are a lot of terrorists in the world. And how can you justify that this is a mistake? This is an accident if they themselves have the intention to do it? So move on to the second speaker. She told you that by banning about the personal rights, the personal information about the terrorists and the extremists, it will create a better world because they would not know about because it can endanger the the family and the relatives of the opposition of the terrorists itself. But it is understandable that the privacy of terrorists are being jeopardized. But don't you think that putting the national security at risk is worse than putting the privacy and personal lives of terrorists at risk? You said that they will not they will not tell that they should ban about telling about the personal rights and just show about the act, which means like ISIS, they will not show about their community themselves, their personal life, but will show about the bombings, the genocide that have been made. But if you just show them to the public and the media about the genocide that have been made, what is the improvement to the society itself? When we are telling about the personal life about a terrorist itself, it can express all of the stories, how from the first story of the terrorist itself, how has he become a terrorist. For example, let's take an example. He has raised from an extremist family. So when we are telling about he has been expressing from an extremist family, a terrorist family, so that is one of their personal information. So society will know more about them and will not yet. No. Next, so the second speaker, she also tells you that they will make assumptions about the terrorist itself. Then that is one of the most unreliable points that have been there. It said that if a boy playing football is a boy playing football considered a terrorist just because of his personal information. So move on to the third speaker from the government's team. She told you that why should we put personal lives in journals, in academic books, in magazines, especially for the documentation about their knowledge to society for use. But as I was just said, by telling the world, by telling the society, by telling the youth how the terrorist group raised, they will know more about them, and society can be more preventable than ever. So, as I was just saying, the whole points that I'm giving to you is that how can exposing a personal life of terrorists will make us understand the upbringing and the value of the terrorists. It is important that we learn all of this, and it serves as a reminder to the public. You only told about the endangered of the family themselves, but how about the society as a whole? You're just defending the terrorists. With that, before I rest my case.
So no. you would rather have an unforgiving society.
Sorry, no POIs after the 6 minute.
With that, I would like to emphasize that we should not ban the personal rights, publication of personal rights of terrorism in order for the improvement of the society themselves to prevent these types of groups. With that, I rest my case.
Hi, just to let teams know that there are no POIs after the 6 minute and no POIs for the replies as well. Now I'd like to invite the opposition reply.
Hi, sorry, can you just give me time to share my timer for the reply speech?
Actually, there is no timer for the reply speech. In the briefing just now, we told you that after the op whip, there is op reply immediately. There is no 2 minutes.
No, for the for when they give the speech, the timing for that speech.
Sorry?
They have 4 minutes for their speech, right? Yeah, that timer.
Oh, you're setting the timer, is it? Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
No worries, no worries. It's actually quite convenient that you have the timer because usually in tournaments, speakers time themselves. So I was a bit surprised.
Right. So yeah, can you all see my screen?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So up reply.
Okay. Assalamualaikum and a very good evening. So we meet again in this reply speech session, and I'm going to point out 4 things of the loopholes and the rebuttals in order to support that our side to support why our side should be winning for tonight's debate. Okay, so first of all, regarding the clashes of the mechanism just now, like the government side, they only stated that they are going to ban these articles through the social media, which is through the newspapers, etc. But our side, we also stated, we introduced to you a new perspective of the media as well, which is the social media, which is a lot more accessible to the public, and in comparison to the small sources of the media, such as the newspapers, etc., just like what the government side have stated just now. Okay, so secondly, at least from our side, from the opposition side, we have provided you which methods in combating future terrorist events, which is unbanning articles about terrorism that serves as a reminder for the consequences of being a terrorist. But what has the government side do to combat the future terrorist event? Like because the terrorism, they haven't been stopped yet in this world. The UN also fails to do this. Okay, and regarding the government side, they only prove to us regarding their points are only regarding in the perspective of the terrorists. But we, as the opposition side, we introduced to you the benefits of not publishing the articles in terms of, firstly, in society in general, which I have stated earlier, and my second speaker already stated regarding in the perspective of the youth, which will also be the leader of our country if they see these terrorism public articles, and as well as in the terms of the economic itself, and as well as about the human rights, which also have been several clashes inside of our debate tonight. Okay, moving on to my other reply speech is that yes, I agree that exposing a personal life of the terrorists will make us understand the upbringing and the values of the terrorists, but they themselves, the people around them, they are not innocent. They have raised a terrorist themselves. For instance, we have in Israel, they teach the children from young to instill hate, and they want to kill the Palestinian. So they themselves, they have raised the terrorists. They have raised the extremists themselves. So before I end my speech, I would like to emphasize I would like to reaffirm the stance of my team, which is we shouldn't ban the publication of the articles regarding the personal lives of the extremists and the terrorism and the terrorists, because the beneficial outcomes outweigh the beneficial outcomes of not publicating the articles is better than publicating the articles relating to the extremists or the terrorists. With that, I rest my case.
Okay, now I'd like to invite the government reply speaker.
Panel, and the savings. A lot of their argument would contradiction with the understanding of how we want to ban the publication of article relating of the personal life of extremists or terrorists. We see those kind of understanding they trying to catapult was laughable. The opposition failed to understand that we don't supporting the terrorists. The violence had been done, and we agree that it is violence. But we now want to fight about to ban the publication about the terrorist privacy. This only shows us that the opposition doesn't even understand what we are fighting for, and not only that, they are spewing nonsense and going around in circles. They talk about what you can see here. They talk about we create more awareness. I want to mention here that we mentioned that ban identity personal life. We still can create awareness without the identity of the terrorists and extremists. The netizen can still get the point of the awareness that terrorists cannot be done. Terrorism cannot be done. But we just don't want to publish the identity of the terrorists. And second, they said we can respect. What is this about? We here debating today, we're not talking about the victim respecting the victim, but we only mention that the banning about the personal identity of the terrorists. This is not the issue we want to fight for. And they mention ISIS brainwash. ISIS. What about some ISIS or some terrorists in ISIS who enter with brainwash that they don't know anything about what is ISIS? They got brainwashed and just join them. What this mess is about? And they don't understand that their flaw is mixed up the personal new and actual reporting. They don't understand that. And they also said that okay, so as clear as it is, okay, I want to make clear here. As clear as it is, if we don't support the government, our future that we want to create is future with awareness about terrorism, with not including any hate feeling personally to terrorists or create any hatred toward people around the terrorists. But the future opposition trying to create is a future full of hatred and revengeful, and I'm not toward the personal life of the terrorists, and I'm not this environment can hire the risk of more violence because they create an idea to hit the terrorists or extremists. Right. So for the conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask you a question. Do we ourselves want our kids to be more aware and peaceful future, but in the same time, they are unforgiveness. They don't have any feeling of unforgiveness about in the same time because of the terrorism identity. That's all.
Okay, I thank the speakers for their speech. So just give me some time to deliberate, and also I will give oral adjudication after this. But I just want to know, for the sake of my ballot, what were the motions that both sides vetoed, as in they ranked number 3? For Gov, what did you rank number 3?
I have both the motion rankings,
okay,
and both the government and opposition vetoed the third motion.
I see. Okay. All right, so just give me about 5 minutes to deliberate and also fill in the ballot, and I'll be right back. Okay, so don't leave the room.
Sure.